In the beginning of the drama, we see our female lead Hwan, who was passing time on an app with her friend. This app was special because strangers could also join group conversations using only their voice. In the middle of the conversation, she suddenly heard a very familiar voice. That voice belonged to our male lead, a famous voice actor who worked at Ring Studio and whom Hwan deeply admired. When she recognized him, it felt like she was dreaming. She could not believe that he had actually come into her chat room himself. Meanwhile, they were discussing a food recipe, and he joined the conversation and shared that he also liked making that same dish. After a little while, he left. Hwan, who was a very dedicated fan, instantly recognized Ming's voice. That same Ming who worked with the Jing studio team. She had fallen in love with his voice long before ever seeing his face. And what she had never imagined was that the handsome boy who had walked past her at the restaurant that very same day, trying out that same dish with some of his colleagues. The next day, Hwan's friend told her that Ming's studio and his two partners had agreed to collaborate with the app that Hwan worked for. Not only that, all three had also scheduled a meeting with her. Overwhelmed with joy, she rushed home and came back to the chat room. Ming, who had already become a big admirer of her voice, recognized Hwan instantly. She was the same girl he had spoken to before. After that, from that day on, a regular exchange of food recipes, cooking tips, and daily conversations began between the two. Because for the recipes Hwan suggested, ingredients were needed. It was also incredibly cute. One day, Hwan was at the supermarket with her friend when Ming suddenly showed up there too. He was used to staying quiet in public so that people would not recognize him. Hwan noticed how handsome that boy was, but did not recognize him. On the other hand, her friend noticed that Hwan was staring at that boy, so she played Hwan's own song, perhaps to impress him. Ming recognized the song, but did not recognize the artist. Something stirred in his heart for a moment, but he left because he was actually a full-fledged doctor as well and had to go to work. The next day, Hwan and her friend did a live stream with Ming and one of his colleagues. The team was practicing expressing emotions through voice. In the next scene, as part of the script, Ming confessed to Hwan, "I love you." Hwan was left stunned. She knew it was scripted, but she still got stuck while trying to respond. The words simply would not come out. After the live, her friend insisted that Ming's tone was more genuine than acting, and that no one could fake that kind of emotion. The next morning, Hwan noticed that her account had been flooded with new followers because of the previous night's live. Her friend immediately advised her to secure the account. It turned out someone had tried to hack it. They set up extra verification and chose trusted friends to confirm her profile. Ming was among those trusted friends, and he confirmed almost immediately. After that, he sent a sweet message, thanked her warmly, and said he had a favor to ask. Hwan happily said she would do whatever he asked. Then he said, "Sing for me." Just thinking about it made Hwan's heart beat faster. He said he would go into an empty room and put on his headphones, but Hwan placed her hand on her chest, trying to calm her racing heartbeat. Her friends, who were watching everything, started teasing her. They said this was basically an official relationship, and she was scared that his fans would come after her. In the next scene, a little while later, she went to the supermarket that belonged to her friend, where she helped out. There, she saw that on the other side of the road, quite a commotion was going on between hospital staff and some parents. As the argument grew louder, a young man rushed over and stepped in the middle. With courage and speed, he calmed everyone down. Hwan watched him and thought to herself how handsome and brave he is. She assumed he was the same supermarket boy she had never heard speak before. That night when she opened the app, Ming's live stream was running. Suddenly, a flood of questions about her started pouring in the comments. Who is this? How did she become admin? After a little while, she realized that Ming had quietly made her the admin of his stream. Not only that, he encouraged her to speak, suggest songs, and participate with his team. The fans went crazy. Some even started thinking she would soon join the studio. After the live, Ming gave one more surprise. He said he wanted her to train with them so they could give fans a special song for the studio's 10th anniversary. Later, he also asked her to add him on WeChat so it would be easier to talk. This request was a bit too overwhelming for Hwan. The distance between the two was closing fast. Their conversations moved from music back to food, and Hwan jokingly thought, how did this person become a voice actor? He should have been a chef. The next morning, Hwan's friends started banging on her door. She was still asleep and tried to send them away until someone announced that Hwan's mother had made stuffed lee, her absolute favorite thing. She immediately got up and came to the door, but there was no food. Her friends said get ready, there is a surprise for you." When she came out ready, her friends held her hand and took her to a fully equipped studio that they had secretly rented. She stood there in shock. When did all this happen? They told her that inside, everything from small to big had been set up just for their little team. She was looking at her 3 close friends. One was the main vocalist who also handled promotion. Another was the supermarket guy who wrote songs. And the third was a singer-songwriter, just like her. The 4 of them had a small but powerful team, and seeing that place filled her heart completely. At night, she was in her room walking around with her phone. She thought about wishing Ming a happy new year, but was afraid she might come across as clingy or that he might read too much into it. After much thought, she decided she would send a simple greeting. But before she could overthink it any further, she noticed Ming's name lighting up on her screen. He was calling her himself. When Hwan picked up the call, her voice was trembling a little. They talked for a bit. Then he hesitantly said that some rumors about them had spread among certain fans. He nervously said that it could have a bad effect on his popularity and he might lose some fans. Ming calmly reassured her. When you close the laptop, those people disappear from your world. They can neither be seen nor heard. He encouraged her to do the same. Ignore the noise and focus on the dubbing work. Hearing his words, Hwan felt a sense of relief. Their moment was broken when Hwan's mother called out. She had to go help at her friend's supermarket. When she arrived, she found out a new girl had been hired. Hwan greeted her politely, but very quickly, that girl started talking very loudly about Ming and other voice actors. Hwan got nervous. This was clearly a die-hard fan. Every time the girl tried to talk to her, Hwan would change her voice. She would twist her tone. She would try to hide herself so she would not be recognized. For the first time, she truly understood why Ming and his friends kept their faces hidden. She even started hesitating to reply to Ming, worried that this girl might catch on. The next day, she was sitting with her friend when the friend showed her a post. A young man who had become an assistant at the studio had written that he had met Jing, his favorite voice actor, and without sharing any photo or information, he simply wanted to express his happiness. Hwan smiled. Her friend asked, "Are you not curious to see what Ming actually looks like?" Hwan said she was a little, but not that much. Her friend accused her of lying. They were still talking when a message came from Ming. Yesterday's recipe had reminded him of Hwan. Hwan found herself smiling at her phone for no reason. Then she tried to stop herself. "Do not let imagination and reality mix. We are just colleagues." Then he wrote that he would come to the studio to meet her. Hwan paused. When she arrived, she was introduced to several people. One of Ming's colleagues spotted her and jokingly asked, "Is this the girl?" Hwan's color drained. He introduced himself as Jing, and someone laughed behind him. Jing quickly clarified it was a joke, but Hwan's heart said, "That does not feel like Jing." The team welcomed her warmly. Ming had not arrived yet. She was told to start recording. She took a deep breath and went into the recording booth and started singing. In the next scene, when Ming finally reached the studio and stepped inside, everything faded for him. He could only see Hwan. When Hwan lifted her head and looked at this new face, Toonie confirmed who he was. His slight smile, the way he waved his hand, everything confirmed it. As she introduced herself, Hwan's nerves completely overwhelmed her. This was exactly the overwhelming feeling she had imagined for their real meeting. When she stepped forward, Ming casually mentioned that they had met at the supermarket, and he remembered. Hwan agreed. The colleagues could barely hide their excitement. They insisted the two sing a song together, a Valentine's Day duet. After quite a bit of teasing, both agreed. After the recording, Ming noticed her bags were heavy. Without thinking, he picked up his jacket, told his friend he would drop her home, and the two walked out laughing at the jokes about engagement rings and wedding invitations. On the way, he lovingly asked, "Let us eat first, then I will drop you home." Hwan stopped. What does this mean? He decided on his own and chose on his own. Sitting in a small restaurant, he told her he had learned to cook because he lived alone. He asked Hwan questions about dishes. "What is in this? How do you make it?" After a long time talking about recipes, he apologized. Maybe he had bored her, but Hwan said directly she had read every recipe, memorized them, and tried most of them too. Hearing this, Ming's smile spread wide. His random chatter had actually been useful to someone. After dinner, he walked her to the college gate. The next day, he was wandering around near the supermarket, looking like he was waiting for someone. Hwan collected some groceries and made a care package for the hospital to make his shift easier. But when she came outside, her friend loudly blurted out, "Is this not the same doctor you saw?" Hwan pulled her inside in 1 second, embarrassed. Then she went to Ming and proudly said, "This supermarket masterpiece is for your shift." Ming laughed. When Ming found out that both of them were cousins, Hwan added that he was the youngest among 5 more brothers. She dramatized her own fate, which made Ming laugh even more. Then he asked, "Are you free for a little while?" She said yes, so he invited her for a drink and a walk. Hwan's cheeks turned red, but she agreed. The next day, she saw a message. "Let us meet on the 14th. Let us go out." She opened her calendar and nothing was there. She agreed. Later, she realized the 14th of the month was Valentine's Day. She kept wondering, am I overthinking all of this? Is this a date or not? When she arrived, Ming picked her up in his car, smartly dressed and smiling. She convinced herself this was absolutely not a date. On the way, she asked where everyone else was. Ming casually said no one was free today. It is just the two of us. In truth, all his friends who were all single were back at the studio playing board games and teasing each other about their lonely lives. One even joked that in a few years they should put up a sign outside the house of honorably aging bachelor. Ming's family home was nearby, since he did not live near the studio himself. Suddenly he said, "Give me your number, in case we get separated in a crowd." Hwan saw through the excuse immediately. It was completely flimsy, but she gave it anyway. He was very happy. After that, they arrived at a big Valentine's festival. Food stalls, games, balloons. Hwan kept acting like the day was nothing special, while Ming deliberately did every romantic couple thing there was, barely holding back his laughter. After the festival, they came to the supermarket, and that same excited fangirl was there. She instantly recognized Hwan as the one who sang with Ming. Excitedly, she said she would keep her secret. Jing clearly loved her, and she was a good girl who deserved Jing. She also warned her to be careful of the doctor who had brought her, in case he was trying to steal her heart too. Hwan tried to calm her down. He is just a university colleague, nothing more. Meanwhile, her phone rang. Her grandfather had been admitted to the hospital and she rushed out. At the hospital, she heard Ming's voice. He asked what happened. She explained. He said, "When are you leaving?" He would take her then. Hwan said there was no need. She would manage. He said he was staying there anyway, so it was no problem. A little while later, on her way home, she thought about going to say goodbye to Ming. She came down at one point, and Ming came up to her room at that very same time and saw that she had already left. Knowing this made him more sad than he had expected. That night, Ming called. He had a dinner at home with studio friends and had invited her along too. Going to their home alone felt very overwhelming, but saying no was difficult. She told herself, "I am crazy," and said yes. The next day, they went. All the friends inside were secretly whispering and teasing each other, nudging one another, and saying that there was only one person here who could be happy. The rest would all remain bachelors. They sent Hwan to the kitchen to help. Inside, Ming was cooking 5 to 6 dishes at the same time like a total professional chef. When Hwan asked him for juice like everyone else, he said his hands were dirty. "Hold the cup and make me drink." Hwan could not think at first, then agreed. When he brought the cup to his lips, Ming turned and smiled softly. Hwan became completely nervous. Then while checking the soup, Ming stood up straight and said completely seriously, "I love you. Will you be my girlfriend?" Hwan felt like her ears were deceiving her. She said they had only met 2 or 3 times. Ming said, "You do not need 20 meetings to understand a feeling. I am a straightforward person." Hwan's face turned red like a tomato and she said yes. Inside, she was thinking how fast all of this had come. There must be a catch somewhere, but she could not go back now. One day after that, Ming showed up directly at Hwan's university. He walked into the lecture hall and sat in the back. A moment later, Hwan heard his voice praising her hard work. She turned around in shock. "How did you get here?" Ming casually said, "I can go wherever I want. I checked your schedule." After that, they had dinner together, and he dropped her home. This became their new normal. It was Hwan's turn to clean the studio. Ming said he would come along too. He wanted to see the studio. Hwan laughed and took him along. Her friends were already there. Hwan quickly whispered to him, "Hide your real identity. Be an ordinary doctor for now." Her friends welcomed him warmly, and everyone had an absolutely fun evening. Her friends kept teasing her, "Forget the voice actor. Look at what is right in front of you." She laughed it off, but her heart had already sunk quite deep. On the way back to the dorm, Ming asked why she had not told her friends her true identity. Hwan said that if they ever went their separate ways, her friends would still know him. Ming smiled lightly and said, "Who put the idea in your head that we would ever separate? We have not even completed a single day of relationship yet." Hwan apologized. She often says things without thinking. Ming said, "Hold on to one thing. He was coming into this relationship seriously. Whether as a doctor or a voice actor, he was real. Hwan said she was serious too. He told her to message him when she got home. The next morning, Ming was gone. No text, no call, nothing. By afternoon, worry grew. Her friend told her to reach out. Hwan insisted he must have been at the hospital late at night, but in the end, she called. His voice was weak. He had a fever. He had not gone to work. Hwan rushed over. The door barely opened. She brought him inside, checked his temperature, gave him medicine, made cold compresses. She put her whole heart into it. He kept saying, "Go outside. I am a doctor." She refused. Exhausted, he finally gave in. Still talking, he dozed off thinking he would step out to the on-call room for a bit. She went inside to the living room, cleaned a little, and she also fell asleep on the sofa. Later, he went into the room to check on her. He leaned over to look and her hair got tangled around his arm. Ming said, "Wait and come closer. I will untangle the hair without pulling." Just then, a friend knocked on the door. Dramatically coughing, he started saying that doors are made so you can bang on them. Hwan jolted back in panic. Her hair almost came free on its own. Ming nervously asked, "Is everything okay?" She said yes, but she was quite embarrassed. Hwan went to the kitchen to cook. A friend also came along to help. In conversation, he mentioned a famous incident from 2 years ago. Someone had claimed their cat was lost and asked Jing to share it because of his large following. The person turned out to be a fraud and Jing was mistakenly held responsible. Hwan said she knew about that incident. The friend told her how bad that period had been. Jing had stopped working for 3 months and the effects of that story lasted for years. He said he was telling her all this because he had seen the online comments about her song. He knew she must have seen them too. He just wanted to say, ignore them. People are jealous. That is why they are bringing her down. Hwan admitted the comments had hurt at first, but she reminded herself that not long ago she had no online identity at all, so she would not waste her energy, especially since Ming's illness. Everything else felt trivial. She said people who hide behind screens are cowards. Ignoring them is the best response. In the other room, Ming was listening to all of it. His heart ached for her, but a smile came to his face. He was proud of her thinking and the fact that she had dropped everything and rushed to him. That had sunk in quite deeply. A little while later, the other friends also came to check on him. The friend who was already there quickly got ready and took everyone outside. He said, "You all take a walk around the building. The lovebirds need some time." When Ming got a little better, he walked Hwan home. At the gate, Hwan stepped inside. Immediately, her mother's voice was heard looking for her. Her father said, "She is not back yet. She must be on a walk." Hwan heard this from behind the gate, slipped out, and ran back to Ming. He thought she had forgotten something. She explained that her mother thinks she is late, so she should walk around outside for a little while longer. Ming joked that she was very opportunistic, but agreed. That night at the supermarket, some girls came in and started whispering to each other about how handsome that boy was. Hwan's expression tightened. Hiding the jealousy was getting difficult. Ming noticed. He got up and walked straight toward Hwan, pretending like he did not know her, like a stranger, and asked, "Are you free? Can I have your number?" Hwan was stunned, half laughing, not quite understanding anything. When she did not answer, Ming dramatically said, "It seems like luck is not on my side. Even such a beautiful girl is rejecting me," and gave a playful wink before walking away. Hwan could not hold back her laughter. When Ming had almost recovered, he and his friends planned a small trip. Officially a work retreat, but practically an absolutely lively outing. Hwan also came along and her friend too, because she was a partner on the app project. A band member who had recently been selected at the studio also joined. The whole trip turned into a rosy family getaway. Convincing Hwan's parents took an entire evening. "This is only work. It is completely safe. We will call every 5 minutes." They finally agreed. When the trip day came, everyone sat together on a plane. When they arrived, there was a boat ride on a famous river surrounded by mountains, one that appeared in books and was printed on coins. Hwan's friend had motion sickness. She was scared of the boat. One of Ming's friends immediately said he would not go either. He would stay with her. The friends looked at each other and whispered, "Another one has fallen." They joked that in a few years the bachelor's sign outside would be even harder to put up. When the rest went on the boat, these two stayed on land. They watched from there, took photos, and laughed freely. At one point, Ming pulled Hwan into his arms for a photo, perhaps intentionally, and the friends watching from a distance complained that these two were even more entertaining than the boat. Then the rain came and everyone came back to the boat. They went to the hotel and changed clothes. At night, Ming sent a message, "I am ready. Come," behind the friend's back. When she arrived, Ming had rented a bicycle. They rode together on bicycle. Then they found a paddle boat that moved by pedaling with your feet. Floating along, the boatman suggested a good restaurant. They went to a nearby island, ate, and came back to the hotel. The next morning, The whole group went to see a theater performance in a distant cultural district. And then finally, they remembered why they had come in the first place. The 10th anniversary voice acting project. Ming participated through audio. He never came on stage. The next morning, Ming took Hwan to a fishing spot near a lake. The two were teasing each other, laughing. At one point, Ming put in an earbud and placed one in her ear too. When he turned, he began to lean in, genuinely wanting to kiss her. Until an uncle with the fishing rods called out loudly, "Are you going to catch anything or not?" Ming quietly muttered something under his breath, frustrated. He had worked so hard to get to that moment, and the uncle had completely cut the line. Finally, they talked about the work. The studio was making a song for the 10th anniversary. The whole team would sing it together, and they had decided Hwan would be part of it too. She was stunned and thought it was a joke. Ming said he was absolutely serious. She protested. Such a big studio. Millions of fans, a live performance. Would it not give the wrong impression? Ming explained this was not just his idea. Someone else had suggested it too. They tested many people and none felt right. "Your voice is outstanding." And he added, "You were not brought in because of me." Then the uncle offered them tea. Ming tried to donate the fish he had caught to him. The uncle was embarrassed. Ming insisted that this was the uncle's city and he wanted to give something. The uncle agreed, said he would give them tea, and brought 2 cups. They took those cups to their friends to let everyone taste. After that, preparations for the anniversary performance began. Hwan started joining the training sessions. On the day of the anniversary event, Ming stood behind the curtain. Only his voice echoed through the entire venue. Hwan stepped onto the stage. She sang live with the main vocalist in front of the audience. The crowd fell in love with her voice when they heard it. After the show, Ming ran to her. He pulled her into a tight embrace, his eyes filled with pride. This moment was very emotional. After the trip, they explored the country. They took photos on a high hill. The girls started wandering here and there. Ming drifted off into his own thoughts. A friend noticed and asked, "What happened?" Ming said without much thought, "I have a strange feeling of wanting to settle down, wanting to get married." The friend was almost shocked. He said, "You will scare the girl with how fast you are moving." But he acknowledged that Ming was a genuine and straightforward person. That quality was not easy to find. The trip ended. Everyone came home. Hwan's friend came to the library to study and pretended that she had forgotten what the word study even meant. Hwan's mind was somewhere else. Her friend noticed something had happened and asked. Hwan told her that a famous singer had messaged asking if she wanted to write songs together. The friend immediately recognized the name and reacted dramatically. That singer who is always around Jing. Then she asked, "What exactly did she say?" Hwan told her that the singer had watched the anniversary live stream, liked the performance, and wanted to compose and sing together. Her friend agreed this was a huge opportunity, no matter how bad the comments were. Hwan quietly said, that was exactly the pain. She knew the internet people's poisonous words, but professionally speaking, this was very important for her growth. After that, she ran to Jing. There was a photo shoot for the studio in traditional Chinese historical outfits. After the shoot, in a private moment, Ming asked, "Do you ever fear that you love my voice more than you love me?" He laughed and said, "Whether you love my voice, my hair, or anything at all about me, I do not care. Love me from somewhere, at least." And then after a full day of being interrupted again and again among people, he leaned in and gave her a proper kiss without any interruption. The next day, there was a musician friend at the studio. The conversation turned to Hwan's relationship. He asked why she had not posted anything on her page. No photo, no hint? Hwan confusedly asked what she should post. The friend explained that fans wanted to know where she had been because since the dating started, there had been no update. Hwan said she did not understand this culture of sharing personal life. The friend laughed and said, "Both of you are exactly alike." After that, Ming had become strained. His friends were endlessly teasing him. They said he looked like he was going to get married tomorrow. So restless, like electricity was running through him whenever Hwan was nearby. They joked that he might walk in at any moment and say, "Book the wedding hall right now or I will go crazy." Hwan got a message from the singer saying the song draft was like. She had some suggestions and wanted to meet. Hwan wondered where to meet. The singer said she was at the hospital, 2nd floor. Hwan was shocked. They had never met, so how did she know her? She replied that she was at the supermarket across from the hospital. "Come over here." The singer said, "I am here. You come to the 2nd floor." Out of curiosity, she stepped inside and realized she had walked into the obstetrics and gynecology department. From behind, someone tapped her on the shoulder. She turned around. It was the singer, but also a doctor in a white coat, looking very much like Ming. and Hwan instantly recognized her. She was the same woman who seemed way too close to Ming at the hospital. Something about her had always made Hwan uncomfortable, and anyone could understand why. They sat down and talked. The singer casually mentioned that she and Ming were cousins, and the two of them had mutually agreed not to tell people that. All the tension inside Hwan released in one moment. She felt deeply grateful. Then she asked in her mind whether Jing had recommended her for the songwriting. The singer said absolutely not. This decision was entirely her own. She was making her new album. She joked that people think doctors have no time. In reality, they have quite a lot of time. A little while later, Ming also arrived. The whole time he kept teasing both of them and keeping things light. He would not let them concentrate at all. When the time came to leave, Hwan turned around and stopped completely. Her mother was standing right in front of her, along with a cousin's very pregnant wife. Her mother's face turned red. She clearly understood that her daughter had come to the gynecology department with Ming for something much bigger. The moment was such a bombshell that Hwan could not speak a single word. When her mother was close to a breakdown, Ming stepped forward. In a calm voice, he introduced himself. He was a heart surgeon and firmly said there was nothing to worry about. Her mother breathed a sigh of relief and apologized. Ming's cousin suggested everyone come along together to take the pregnant woman to a good doctor. When they arrived, Ming stayed back with Hwan's mother. Without any hesitation, he formally introduced himself and called her his future mother-in-law. He clearly told her that he was serious about Hwan and wanted to get married when the time was right. Her mother's eyes lit up. Hwan was both stunned and deeply touched. One night, Hwan was at the supermarket. Outside, the rain was so heavy it seemed like the whole city was about to drown. Her family called. "We will come pick you up." She said it was absolutely fine. The weather was too dangerous for driving. She told them not to worry and that she would call if she got scared or bored. Ming came out of surgery. There was a storm outside. Getting home was difficult. He sat in the hospital cafeteria area and ate something. After a little while, he called Hwan. She said she was home, but strange sounds were coming from behind her voice. He became suspicious because the hospital was almost directly across from the supermarket. He asked a colleague from another department, "Check the balcony and tell me if any girl is stuck there." The friend complained about the weather. Ming did not agree. He half-jokingly threatened him, and the friend gave in. Ming called Hwan again, pretending to believe what she said, just to keep her calm. He knew she was not home. A little while later, his friend confirmed she was at the supermarket. He peeked and looked, felt relieved, and promised Ming he would settle the score later. When Hwan called back, she asked, "How did you know?" Ming said, "I can feel your mood without you saying a word." What she did not know was that Ming immediately started the car and forced himself through the rain-drenched road. The idea that she would spend the night alone in the supermarket was not possible for him. When the storm calmed a little, Hwan got some necessities from the supermarket. They went together to the hospital so she could spend the night in the on-call room. His friend watched them all night, telling Ming to find himself a sofa or sleep under his desk. The next morning, Hwan opened her eyes in the light. There were people's voices outside. Someone warned, "Do not go in." Then the door opened. A nurse and Ming's colleague were there. They stopped and apologized. They did not know someone was there. She laughed and said sorry. She told them to close the door and sleep. Then she left for her round. A little while later, there was a knock. Ming was standing there. He gently placed his hand on her head and asked, "Did you sleep well?" She said the mattress was surprisingly comfortable. He smiled and said he would sleep for a little while too. He was tired. Hwan paused for a moment. Then she turned around, and he was already sitting on the other bed, laughing at her reaction. He explained, "I am a gentleman. I will sleep on the other bed." Then he teased her about where her mind had gone. Embarrassed, she told him to behave. He reminded her he had not said anything wrong. A few days later, Ming told his friends in the studio something big. He was leaving voice acting. He wanted to shift to management, post-production, and sound editing. The whole room went silent after hearing it. No one could believe it. One friend got up to make coffee, absolutely sure he had heard wrong. Ming stopped him. "I am fully awake." He explained this was a decision he had been thinking about for a long time. One friend pointed out that everyone knew he had been deliberately slowing down his popularity for quite a while. But this was too extreme a step without any warning. Ming assured them he was not disappearing. He was just stepping back, directing dubbing, training newcomers, free voice work for small apps. He would stay with them in the industry. Everyone was visibly upset. When the mood lightened a little, Ming gave an idea. A big audition event with veteran voice actors giving new talents a chance. This event would be Ming's final public performance. After that, he would officially retire from performing. That night he met Hwan. She asked if she could audition. He genuinely said he wanted her to, but he was not managing that project. His friend was. The application process had not been revealed yet. She asked if she could try under a different name. Ming said her own name was very good. Use it proudly. As they were walking, he asked if the Ming voice actor persona were to completely end, would she still? Hwan stopped. She asked why he was saying that. He clarified, if he was no longer a voice actor, would she still love him? She said from her heart that her feelings had nothing to do with his profession. That was not why she loved him. He quietly accepted that no one had ever told him before that they feared someone might love the person more than the voice. Hwan hit him. She had been joking earlier and was not being serious. Then she realized he was seriously going through with the retirement. A moment of tears came. He explained he would only stop public performing. He would remain behind the scenes as director and producer. He asked why she looked troubled. There were two reasons. One was personal. The other was that he wanted to give new talent a chance. Hwan lovingly said, do whatever gives you peace, and when someday she might lose her own singing career, he would be there with her, would he not? He said completely, but laughed a little. I will be a bit dramatic too. After all, I am your fan. He pulled her into his arms and inside, he blamed himself for letting that conversation make her cry. When the audition dates were announced, Hwan went with her two musician friends and applied only as composer. After the auditions, the team began preparing the grand stage. Costumes, lighting, full production. On the morning of the event, everyone was busy at the studio. Backstage, costumes were being made and organized. From there, Hwan and her friends watched the contestants. Ming's cousin was also there along with the elegant friend from Hwan's band, and Ming's team too, all in character costume. And finally, Ming on stage. There was a curtain in front. No face was visible. Only his voice echoed. Those who knew him understood that this was goodbye. Hwan was crying. Ming's friends were crying, and he too could not hold back his emotions. It was that painful, watching a talented person leave, and yet it was so moving to see how much faith he had in his own decision. After the show, a friend told her to check her phone. Hwan saw that Ming had officially announced his retirement on social media. Without thinking, she ran backstage. She arrived. He smiled softly. Did you come to comfort me, or do you need comfort yourself? Hwan burst into tears. She did not care about either. She just wanted to be in his arms once. He held her until the tears stopped. In the dressing room, friends were waiting with a cake. It was a surprise celebration for the end of his journey. The next day, Ming decided the time was right. He held Hwan's hand and said he wanted to meet her family now. He arrived with a full bag of gifts for her father, for her grandfather, for all the cousins. Her family had many intimidating men, but he was not afraid. He was never going to leave. Because he was a doctor, her family accepted him warmly, as if he had always been there. After lunch, the two stepped outside. They reached near that same familiar supermarket. Inside was that same fangirl, completely heartbroken and sad about Ming's retirement. Hwan had already told Ming she wanted to meet this girl once and reveal her identity. He had agreed. When they arrived, Hwan started introducing him. The girl cut her off. She said she already knew him. He was the handsome doctor from the hospital. Then Ming told her the truth. He was Ming, the voice actor she loved so much. The girl's eyes went wide. At first, he could not even explain. She was already crying. She told them that when the retirement was announced, she had thought Ming had left everything and Hwan had started dating some doctor. Ming was left completely alone. When she realized that the doctor and Ming were the same person, she went absolutely crazy with joy. She said she knew the two of them were a perfect couple and declared herself an honorary family member. The two kept laughing as she spun around joyfully. After that, they all went where the first trip had taken place. There, Ming told her something he had been holding back. He had bought an apartment near the studio. The plan was to furnish it and give her a surprise. But since she would be the owner of their home, she should choose the furniture herself. Hwan was stunned. Is this really our home? He asked, are you happy? She said she was in a state of complete disbelief. Ming reminded her they would need to have it ready in 1 month because he had already turned 30. He had waited long enough. He wanted to build a home and settle down. Hwan laughed. Then Ming went toward the wardrobe. He opened it and took out a wedding dress he had secretly bought. He said, this place is so beautiful. It is just as lovely as you are. If you like this dress, let us take wedding photos right here right now. He said that place was just as precious to him as Hwan was. Hwan said she absolutely loved the dress and said yes. Then she realized everything had been arranged in advance. A photographer, a makeup artist, final touches, everything was ready. They took their wedding photos there as a sweet memory, while waiting for the real ceremony. And this is how the journey that began with an unknown voice came to a warm, beautiful, and love-filled end.